because she's trying to prove to the mainstream media, because now they're starting to talk about this whole birth being fictitious coming from Meghan. So she's trying to put out there to the haters, look, it is me giving birth. See, I'm in the hospital dancing like a skank.
She's got form for strapping on baby bumps.
There's something very wrong with that shape, in my view.
I think they split within 12.
Her presence was never supposed to be part of the narrative. For countless years, the masses witnessed a single account of reality, a fairy tale romance, 2 expecting periods, and the birth of heirs showcased as emblems of a contemporary royal family. The entire presentation looked flawless, managed, and finished. Yet beneath that meticulously constructed facade, a different individual claims she remained concealed, suppressed, and deleted from history. Her identification consists of the letters DL. Based on her testimony, she wasn't an observer. She wasn't a staff member. She wasn't a peripheral character witnessing circumstances develop from afar. She stated she was the individual who gestated the heirs, each one of them, from fertilization through birth. DL asserts her quietness wasn't voluntary. It was a requirement. For countless years, she remained mute, restricted by contracts that guaranteed confidentiality in return for vanishing. No media appearances, no recognition, no persona, simply an existence conducted beyond official documentation while another person emerged as the representation of parenthood. Currently, she asserts that quietness has grown unsustainable because the narrative the planet believed she insists was never the complete narrative. DL portrays a system constructed to produce zero evidence. She asserts she was selected via a confidential elite organization functioning distant from public scrutiny. The objective as she comprehended it was straightforward and total. Gestate the pregnancies, comply with health directives without hesitation and subsequently withdraw forever after the heirs were delivered. There would be zero recognition, zero relationship, zero continuing involvement. She insisted she existed under rigid restrictions. Her whereabouts were governed. Her interaction with the external environment was eliminated. Zero telephone communications, zero gatherings, zero individual liberties that could generate a record. Her existence transformed into a cycle of supervised recovery, health checkups, and quietness. Based on her testimony, this wasn't brutality. It was exactness. The entire system was built to guarantee a single result. The gestations would occur and nobody beyond an extremely limited group would ever discover the method. DL asserts she executed comprehensive contracts, paperwork that specified payment, secrecy, and total elimination. After the heirs were born, she would disappear from the account completely as though she had never been present. And for an extended period, she performed precisely that. For countless years, quietness safeguarded the account. Then quietness ceased functioning. DL currently insists she holds materials that shift this beyond the territory of storytelling and into the territory of litigation. She claims the presence of executed contracts, health records, gestation schedules, sonogram images, and documented exchanges between attorney groups and the organization that controlled the system. This is no longer regarding perspective. It's regarding proof. Based on insider assertions, DL has secured legal representation and is ready to provide testimony under penalty of perjury. She has consented to genetic examination, not in private, not discreetly, but via official legal procedures. That transforms everything. After legal mechanisms commence, image management no longer dictates the rhythm. Proof does, schedules do, authentication does. At that moment, no degree of quietness can halt what's approaching. And beyond royal barriers, this transformation has been recognized. While DL asserts she existed in seclusion, a different account was developing in view. Photographers tracked Meghan Markle during engagements, conversations, and deliberately orchestrated occasions. There were grins, gentle illumination, and an obvious gestation displayed as organic, pleasant, and completely effortless. The presentation was assured, comforting, managed, but based on DL's claims, those dual circumstances were occurring simultaneously. she characterizes herself experiencing the bodily burden of gestation in quietness while observing from a distance as another individual obtained the focus, the admiration, and the credit that customarily accompanies parenthood. A single individual bore the physiological burden of the gestations. A different individual bore the visible position. The difference, she asserts, was deliberate. Public exposure demanded uniformity. Quietness demanded compliance. DL insists she comprehended the disparity, even embraced it during that period. The system wasn't regarding equity. It was regarding results. The heirs would emerge, the account would stay preserved, and the planet would never challenge how everything transpired until this moment. Because after dual gestations exist in dual distinct circumstances, one concealed, one staged, the inquiry grows inescapable. If a single individual was never permitted to voice her truth, what additional facts were never permitted to emerge? And how extended can an account constructed on quietness remain unified before it starts to splinter? Royal deliveries are never silent. For generations, they have adhered to a strict, almost ritualistic sequence. Physicians emerge on medical facility stairs. Official declarations are observed. Information is documented, authenticated, and confirmed. These traditions exist for a single purpose only, to eliminate uncertainty. But in this instance, those traditions never materialized. There were 0 physicians positioned beyond the medical facility, 0 instant images, 0 customary declarations that typically follow the delivery of an heir connected to the royal bloodline. Rather, the masses obtained a basic notification, a media statement, an announcement that conveyed, as though multiple procedures had been bypassed. The heirs had emerged. That was everything anyone received. During that period, it was presented as progress, a departure from custom, a pursuit of seclusion. But seclusion and procedure are not identical concepts. One can exist without removing the alternative. This occasion, the framework that exists to record royal authenticity simply wasn't present. Based on insider assertions, inquiries were suppressed behind private chambers. Not postponed, not addressed discreetly, suppressed. The lack of procedure wasn't clarified. It was tolerated. And when organizations constructed on documentation permit omissions, those omissions eventually attract scrutiny. For a period, the presentation persisted. Public engagements proceeded. The gestation account advanced as anticipated. But incrementally, instances started to emerge that didn't completely correspond with what individuals identified as typical bodily transformations. Not immediately, not spectacularly, simply sufficient to feel incorrect. There were engagements where the gestation looked remarkably enlarged, remarkably descended. Instances where motion produced angular folds rather than gentle transitions. Occasions where the profile looked contradictory from one environment to a different one. Separately, 0 of these instances confirmed anything. But sequences don't depend on a solitary image. They depend on recurrence. Based on assertions currently surfacing, these weren't organic fluctuations. DL claims the utilization of custom-made artificial gestation prosthetics shaped to replicate various phases worn to preserve a uniform visible presentation. She insists each engagement was practiced, each perspective calculated, each instance crafted. The objective wasn't fabrication for recognition. It was uniformity for believability. But uniformity only functions when 0 errors occur. And ultimately, something occurred. Then arrived the footage that transformed the atmosphere of everything. A medical chamber, an obviously expecting Meghan Markle audio playing, activity intended to imply delivery was imminent. The communication was obvious. This is authentic. This is occurring and 0 details are concealed. But rather than ending the conversation, the footage amplified it. To numerous witnesses, the instance felt orchestrated instead of natural. Not private, but theatrical. It wasn't the action by itself that triggered reactions. It was the scheduling and purpose driving it. The footage surfaced not throughout the gestation, but significantly afterward as inquiries were starting to emerge discreetly. Based on individuals experienced with reputation control, this represents a fundamental error. When validation surfaces following suspicion, it seldom provides comfort. It attracts examination. Instead of anchoring the account, the footage made the circumstances feel prepared. As if genuineness was being showcased instead of experienced. And from that instant forward, the dialogue transformed. The attention was no longer on whether the masses should accept the account, but on why the account abruptly required reinforcement whatsoever. After that transformation occurs, authority becomes vulnerable, and the presentation that previously felt unbreakable starts to fracture. Accounts can be contested. Records are more difficult to reject. When the official delivery documentation became accessible, something instantly emerged. Meghan Markle's legal identification, Rachel Meghan Markle, was absent. In its position appeared a designation, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Initially, this was dismissed as clerical disorder. One faction discreetly indicated the royal household managed it. The royal household equally discreetly indicated it originated from Meghan's circle. Nobody accepted accountability. Nobody provided a definite clarification, but based on DL's testimony, this wasn't an error whatsoever. She insists the modification was intentional, component of a legal approach constructed to obscure accountability and protect the fundamental reality. Designations don't deliver heirs, individuals do. And when documentation redirects attention away from a person and toward an organization, it grows more difficult to follow responsibility. In royal frameworks, records are paramount. Identifications matter, documentation matters. They determine ancestry, authenticity, and legal position. When something as fundamental as a parent's identification is modified, it generates an inquiry that cannot be disregarded. Why alter what didn't require altering? Until this moment, the account could still be characterized as private dispute. That misconception concludes here. DL insists Prince Harry was not a removed witness. She claims he understood regarding the system, that he came to see her throughout the gestation, that he even composed a personal letter conveying appreciation following the deliveries. If accurate, this doesn't simply involve a partnership. It involves the succession sequence itself. The monarchy is not entertainment spectacle. It is a governmental organization constructed on heritage and legislation. Designations, succession, and government resources all rely on authenticity. If heirs positioned in the succession sequence were delivered under unrevealed situations, the ramifications are not figurative. They are foundational. Based on insider assertions, internal conversations are already occurring. Legal consultants, governmental specialists, discreet emergency preparation, not because a conclusion has been determined, but because the danger can no longer be disregarded. This is the boundary that cannot be violated. After heritage is challenged, the complete framework experiences the disruption. And currently there is only quietness. Zero refutations, zero legal warnings, zero public guarantees from a partnership recognized for meticulously designed communication. The lack is remarkable. In contexts where presentation is paramount, quietness is seldom assurance. It is strategy or anxiety. Beyond public view, insiders assert emergency strategies are being developed. Conversations regarding separation, regarding reputation protection, regarding how to safeguard the organization from a reality it never anticipated to confront openly. At the middle of everything are dual heirs delivered into an account they did not select. Currently situated at the core of an inquiry far greater than their existence. DL asserts she is prepared for examination, prepared for legal proceedings, prepared to position reality above quietness irrespective of the price. If her assertions are validated, this will not be recalled as humiliation. It will be recalled as revelation. As the instance a meticulously built account disintegrated under the pressure of records, genetics, and chronology, the royal platform is quiet currently. The illumination is reduced. The performers have ceased communicating. But quietness is not the conclusion of an account. It is the interval before the reality emerges.